Hey everybody, this is Mr. Marshall here at Stony Lane, and I'm sitting with Donna, who is a big fourth grader, and she's been doing some really good things in her notebook, right? So she has, all her friends have what's called a reading notebook, but Donna's really used it to be something called a thinking notebook. Because a reader's notebook or a thinking notebook isn't just a notebook that you do because your teacher makes you do it. To prove that you read a story, a thinking notebook is really the kind of notebook that helps you to think about a book while you're reading it, so your reading can be better, okay, and more fun, and you get more out of it, right? So, can you show us your notebook?
So, the first thing I do sometimes to help me with categories, I do color coding, and then I make a little key. So each color or star, it stands for a specific,
Topic,
topic.
right? So like color coding is a way to organize, because when you're reading hard books, like let's face it, there's a lot of information, right? And it's easy to get confused, isn't it? So, so something that you have to do is to organize, and one way to organize is called color coding. So can I hold this up and show? So here, what are you reading about here?
So this was beavers, but there was like a lot of different books that I did. So I put them in bullets, and I did it all together, and then I color coded.
So when Donna color coded, she made a little note here for herself because she had lots and lots of facts about beavers. So she wrote about a beaver's body, where a beaver lives, a beaver's diet, right? And each of those things were a different thing. So everything about a beaver's body was what color? It was pink, right?
Yeah.
Colines, or the groups of beavers, that was blue. A beaver's diet is green, right? Okay. And so
Also, sometimes I like to match up the colors with what the topic is. So diet, usually healthy stuff are green, so I just did green.
that's true. You heard it here, folks. Okay, so so now, how do you use this when you're done? If you want to go back and read it.
So when I was done, I'm pretty sure I did an essay or something about it. So basically, I took all the information and I made an introduction. And when I did the introduction, I listed all of the topics, and then I just started with each topic and saying all this stuff.
So you knew when it was time to work on the beaver's diet, you knew to look for a certain color, right? That's really cool. So that's something that I think your notebook can do for you. It can help you be organized, so you can take all this information and not be confused by it, right? Okay, let's look at something else that you did. So sometimes in our books we we write down our thinking, but we don't write in the books because they're not just yours, right? So you have Post-its that you write on, and so you were reading a book about Simone Biles, right? And so so something that you did was you wrote these Post-its, and then they ended up in your notebook. So you're mixing your Post-its in your notebook. All right, can you tell us what you did with that?
So basically, I was reading on Epic, which is online. So I took all of the categories that were in them, that were the titles. So who is Simone Biles? I put Simone Biles that is a professional gymnast who has many accomplishments. But also I didn't write a lot because it's just small Post-its and it doesn't need a whole paragraph.
Okay. So that helps you to organize. It's another tool that helps you organize so that all this information about Simone Biles can be in the right place, right? Okay, so that's another organizational tool. So there's color coding, and then there's using Post-its in that way and putting them right into your notebook. So there's one more thing that I want to show you about Donna's notebook that I thought was very interesting. So when you read chapter books, right, one of the things you think about is theme. Theme is what's the big lesson inside of this book, right? And so you started noticing that books had a lot to do with what? Bullies, right? There's bullies in the books that Donna was reading. So what is this page about?
So I took 3 books. I took Save Me a Seat, The Proudest Blue, and 4th Grade Rats. And I put examples from the text in the pages of how they were bullies and what they did to people. and then I made it into an essay.
Okay, so the first thing you did was you took 3 different books that you knew, right? That had bullies in them, and you wrote about them. You wrote about bullies. Did you write everything that happened in the book?
No.
No, you just wrote about the bully part, right? You just wrote about the bully part. And so now that's over here. And then let's turn the page. Then you wrote what?
Oh, and then I wrote what are possible ways how they can turn into bullies, because nobody's just like a bully for no reason. There has to be a reason.
Right, so you didn't just like stop there and be like, there's bullies in this book, and there's bullies in that book, and there's bullies in that book. You thought about, what was true about all of them inside the bully topic, right? And you were thinking about the ways that characters turn into bullies and the ways people turn into bullies, because that's what you noticed was the same in all of this, right? Wow. And so what did you learn about being a good reader by doing that?
Well, it helps me understand like books way more, and like whenever I jot things down, I can always reread them, and then I can like make a summary about the book too.
Okay, so there's a lot of readers listening to this right now. What advice do you have for them? What would you tell them would be something that can help them be a really good reader and use their thinking notebook well? What would be the one thing you want them to know?
If you find something like important in your book, write it down, because you can definitely use all the stuff and you can make something out of it.
Okay, you heard it. Okay, you heard it from this great reader right here who uses her reader's notebook like a thinking notebook. Okay, thank you, Donna. That was so much fun. Thank you, and we learned a lot from you. All right, I'll see you next time.